about the world record attempt. They actually said they prepared. Well, how do you prepare for 61 hours of playing chess non-stop with no sleep, no rest? Well, they were trying to sleep as much as they could, and they went to get massages today. So it seems to be the recipe, and whether that was the payoff that either of these players had, or just the symbolic chess massage. I like it. Yeah, it's great. It's relaxing.
Yeah, I can reveal sponsor for the tournament. For the players.
Told me about this. I love massages.
Feel that that's a good part of their preparation either way. Yeah, just see whether Magnus can push it and make Faroujah feel uncomfortable a bit later.
I didn't know about this, Danny, did you? Okay, now I'm offended.
They provided. Now it's out there. Cat's out of the bag, you know. Open the can of worms. Now you gotta spill it. It's out there. I'm sorry. All right.
I got it. Video.
Danny gets too upset. Head over to wait, hold on. No, we're staying right here. Magnus has played knight to c4. The relocation of the sideline knight again, the knight on the rim is grim, as they say. Magnus didn't want knight b5, David, because of perhaps the forcing invite of c6, like you said, exchanges knight c4, a move that actually prevents black from playing c6. b6 pawn will hang. We should highlight that. And depending on what black does here, that knight might even just go to e3, solidly reinforce the d5 pawn, and just try to keep the tension, right? White's advantage is based minimally on the space. But, all right, so there we go. Magnus's idea, David.
Yeah, and I expect Faroujah to echo that. Black's knight is on the rim, on one of the edges of the board. I think he'll offer a trade here. Black, as we mentioned, is slightly cramped due to White's extra space, so the more pieces disappear, the more it will favour Faroujah. And ultimately, quite level. Maybe time to zoom out.
Yeah, and I know it was only a tiny bit, but the evaluation
Scoots away.
in favor of black
terrible
after
idea.
knight c4, so it seems the computer is not even that happy with this knight jump. Possibly because of what you mentioned, David, that now that black will be playing knight d6 too, most likely, white is almost forced to straight. You can go to e3 with the knight, but then you're blocking the development of your bishop, and the black knight can jump to e4. In that scenario, it will be black who has the stronger knight, and I don't think Magnus wants that. I don't think he wants to see Elevator's knight suddenly being the beast in the center.
Yeah, one will check back in on a bit later on. Danny, which of the other boards catches your eye?
Oh,
I'd love to go
making
back to
herself
Prague
go
and Fabiano, but I also wanted to pay off the position that we haven't had a chance to look at yet. We haven't done the G1 with Camaro, but the one that really has my eye, if we had to pick one, is the purple power over there. Versus
Ready?
White has a little bit of edge there. I personally feel like those positions can actually get worse for black in a hurry.
Come on!
With the weak dark squares, and white gets an outpost. So maybe let's head in there. And Anna Muzichuk, she won her game, her classical game actually, before we ended round 4. Yep. So a little bit of momentum. Let's go see how she's doing here with the white pieces versus the opponent.
I was just admiring Anna's attire. I believe this is some of the...
You my picture. Thank you so much.
Spider! Social media she was posting, she went hiking yesterday after hiking Norway, and she looks inspired. I do believe White has an advantage here.
You gotta keep
it. At least in practical terms. Pawn to a4. But yeah, this,
my hell!
looking good for Anna.
Butter's looking good.
Yeah,
We gotta
Svaja
zoom in
looking
there.
good, the 3-day activity looking good, ambitions looking good. I also had a chat with Anna at lunch. And,
Oh my god!
He too should be feeling good about her tournament. It's a bit unlucky that she's on 3 points. I don't think it reflects how many opportunities she had even in the classical game, let alone the Armageddons that went crazy. But Thea has been one of those players that had a better position, if not winning opportunities in almost every single classical game she played, except for against Vaishali, which was a draw.
Agreed. And this might actually be the first game where I think she's maybe never going to get winning chance. I don't know. I know the advantage is only slight here, according to the computer, but having played some of these types of positions as black, they can backfire. I see the Grandmaster nodding his head over there in the corner, making this insecure international master feel good. No, but A4, a great move, David. You highlighted it. But the point of these structures is you have C5 as a square, you have A5, you have B6, and white controls the tension. Robert has talks about this a lot, meaning the pawns A4 and B5 are staring at each other. The white is going to free roll because if black ever takes A4, it's just horrible. White takes back, and the A6 pawn is weak. The bishop on F1 comes to life. The rooks will double on the A file. So what that means is if the tension of the worse, you get to build up on that tension like water in a dam. So white can even play like rook A2 here, rook E to A1. You can build up, and you see the bishops facing F1, A6, the E3 diagonal to A7. Again, and the fact that black actually lacks central squares here, David, that pawn on C3 holding D4 means that knight on F8 doesn't even have a real goal in the position. And so I'm just looking at it, observing, the essence of it without a ton of concrete lines, that I really feel like this could be a really tough position for black if he doesn't find accurate moves and maybe try to force matters.
Danny, I love it when you talk chess.
Less dad jokes and more chess?
A bit of both.
Don't tell Chad that. They don't like it when I deliver value. It's preferred. They need the one they gang up on, but go ahead.
You broke it down so well. I mean, that's all the strategic points in the position, and Pia, usually we associate her with great positional play, great field, but it's unclear where she needs to put her pieces. Clear what she needs to do is when she moves. Anna just slightly uncomfortable for Pia cramming right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to play this position from that perspective. I think Pia also is not really enjoying this position. Again, we are saying this is only slightly better for white, but so much easier to play. The plans are so much clearer, and it is black who will need to play very
Oh my gosh!
precisely
Right behind a snake!
to
There's a
make
snake
sure
right
that
behind.
the position
Kidding.
doesn't collapse. Because of ideas like the doubling on the A5, which I love, by the way.
Well, let's point out, just to complete the circle of accurate chess analysis, you aren't really threatening rook A2 just yet, because black does have bishop E6, and that knight on B3 is the only piece for white that is a little tender right now. Okay, as long as you don't play rook A2, that knight is ready to move into squares like A5, like C5. In fact, if black plays bishop E6 right away, you would have your choice of either one of those moves, actually, knight A5 or knight to C5. So, and it has to be accurate. You're not immediately threatening to just double rooks on the A file and bring down the house. But yeah, I'm definitely getting nervous about these positions as black. They can quickly run off the rails positionally, and what looks equal quickly becomes a dominant affair. So, all right, well let's back up and see what's going on again. We have now pretty much touched on every game. We've thrown a couple of opinions about what's happening between Hugo and Humpy Canero from afar. It's a very tame-looking Queen's Gambit. You see a totally symmetrical structure other than that black pawn on A6. The pawns are completely static. Anything to dive in there, or do we want to go back to Prague Caruana, which is heating up a little bit more?
Ooh, maybe Prague's sister, Vaishali, just very briefly, and then to Prague.
Okay, let's do it. Vaishali and Lei Qingzhei. We've had... Go ahead.
Complicated, Danny. I think of the women's section right now, maybe that's the most spicy. Yeah, very hard to evaluate that one. And at least on my screen, I do see that black has maybe just missed something on the last go. Okay. Can't be more natural. That's apparently not the best move in the position. And, yeah, backtrack here very briefly. We left it just 2 moves ago, but the position has exploded. We left it after bishop to A4.
Oh, delete!
It looks like this simply loses a pawn. Trying to work out here what the compensation is. I guess black will break open the center with D5. See that white C7. This would have been the acid test of what black is doing in the opening, but Vaishali said, no, I don't want to test you here. F4 and okay, this is the moment that the miss might have happened. I do wonder whether
maybe the
hell.
computer just wants to just take the pawn. But I think both taking the pawn here as well as knight takes d4, this is... Maybe we're not in the opening explorer eval bar territory. For those who don't know that, when the bar is still showing percentages, including a gray in the middle, that's your sign that how many games have been played to a draw on that line versus a win for white or win for black. It means we're still in opening theory. Even though that's not the case, David, I think this is actually still kind of commonly known roads. A sacrifice for the initiative for the other side is not the end of the world, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, the players are definitely using time as they go for this. So let's just analyze it. We've got it up, right? It's not our pawn, as Anna says. Let's just take it.
Yeah,
let's just take it and see what happens.
Something that's not ours. I would never sacrifice my own pawn.
Let's take it and suggest a move.
Take f4 first. I think maybe. And then the knight is not going to take on d4. That was my thought, is the white.
That could be the
And then maybe you can go down.
Oh my god!
Okay, this says that.
Oh my god!
Let's just pull up the computer and see what exactly.
But the computer, I think, is just basing this capture as the main idea.
Wow.
The difference, I think, it's pointing out that costing is inaccurate because that allows white to take on.
So maybe it's not because the other lines were better.
This is inaccurate.
Slightly inaccurate now. You said taking on d5, Anna, and the big question is whether we take this pawn now or whether we just wait and move. And it's a bit like that Carlson game. This pawn is just weakness.
And that was it.
Yeah, I can see why this might be slightly better for white.
Yeah, and the question is, can you take that pawn? Like, what happens if you grab the pawn, or is there something better?
The bar drops slightly. I do wonder whether maybe you use the knight first, because the pawn is almost indefensible.
Yeah.
Black defends it with if he does, then pieces ultimately should be roughly balanced with less play. White here is the one creating the threats, doing the running. Let's see if Faishali goes for this. Good news, at least for her, objectively after Black's last turn. Probably the way to keep things simple. Taking, getting everything off the board. Not only is it objectively strong, but it's a good strategy when you're leading a tournament. To kind of
Like being the chip leader, I guess. Poker, you can lean on your opponent a little bit, right? A draw is not the end of the world. You get to Armageddon, where you know you're at least getting 1 point, even if you lose, protecting the lead. So I don't know that either player is really thinking about that yet. I think this is one of those positions where they're both very aware that they could step on a landmine, right? They could step on a landmine of prep. There's enough tension just in terms of what we can see up here playing checkers while they're down there playing chess, right? We can see that you could blunder a pawn, you can make it 4 is still vulnerable, and if the structure opens up black getting a bunch of play to the king side, which we haven't talked about, like black gets bishop d4, and you had the knight on d5 before, and knight f4, and the queen comes in. You could be playing down a minor piece on the side of the board where it really matters. So I think the players are just being very careful here to make sure that they don't line and something goes wrong. And so okay. Yeah.
from one sibling to the other, maybe we zoom
Let's
after
do
this
it.
and
Yeah,
go
I
to
think
Prague.
we should go. And just to add a final thought to this game, that I think Jenny's right that neither player are thinking for a draw in Armageddon, especially late in Gia. We think that like she will obviously be ambitious, but I also think Vaishali is ambitious, and she's not the kind of player that would want to go solid just because she's leading the tournament. I think she takes it as one game at a time, and it's a lot more about just trying to do your best one move at a time instead of thinking, oh, I'm leading the tournament with 2.5 points, I should hold on to this. And I think it's a great mindset. That's a mindset of an overall growth mindset where they want to get better at chess, they want to be the best at chess, and for that you need to take every game just as importantly, just as much ambitiously, and be motivated and determined in every single game and every single move.
Could not agree more, and I think we know just from what we've seen about the sports psychology, literal training that both getting that a lot of the young Indian players are doing. They are working toward chess enlightenment. What else to call it? I mean, they are literally engaging with sports psychologists and I don't know what to call them, gurus, you know, in terms of handling your emotions and staying as present as you can, right? Because as you said, when you're mindful and you're in the present, those things that are actually objectively out of your control, like the result itself or the leading of the tournament, is irrelevant, right? And I think it's also a thing we saw with Magnus early on. I mean, I remember where I was when I was commentating his choice to go for a win against Levon Aronian at the Sinkfield Cup that many people remember, where he was still so much younger and like didn't have to do that, right? A draw won the tournament, but the moment Levon let the advantage slip and Magnus was now pushing, he kept everybody there for hours and hours to beat Levon unnecessarily, and it was like, you were like, oh, Magnus is built different. Like, you could just see it, right? And I think a lot of the young players have that. Like, they're not thinking emotionally about protecting their lead or about the results. They're in the present, and they're gonna try to find it as long as objectively they think they can keep playing for a win. They will, and I love it. So, all right. I'll stop about that, but I love the psychology there. I love the maturity that both Vaishali and her brother are showing, and what is her brother showing on the board here, David?
Yeah, I think it's that M word again. Massage. He's
Word of the day.
Word of the day is massage. It's official. Let's get it. A fan came in earlier today. By the way, shout out to the fans here. We actually have a lot of people here because it's a weekend. When you saw the playing on cam, there were a lot of people in there. And I'm sure we'll have a bunch of people tomorrow too. So a lot of people here on site because it is the weekend. And someone asked me, what's the word of the day going to be? And I said, I have no idea. But there you go. It is massage. By David. Massage. It is massage. I think goes for the massage. Let's do it.
Sorry, everyone. I just had to mention that word because here it feels like Prague is just tickling away at Black's weaknesses. The B5 pawn looked like a stronghold. Again, it's a bit like the Anamudjichuk game. You're the one holding the key to a certain part of the board. If you're the one who can control the capture, then often you're in control. It's not just that pawn. E6 is certainly a weakness here, and it's one that you have to watch out for the rest of the game pretty much, especially while the queen remain on the board. Ultimately, Fabio should be fine, but now there's a dilemma. Do you touch this B pawn?
Damn! Damn!
You step forward, weakening the C4 threat eternally. You just leave it, but know that white is going to capture at will. The other big question, to trade or not to trade queens, Anna?
I was going to ask you, David, don't do this to me. I had the question already planned, and it's like, I'm gonna ask my grandmaster about queen trade, because that is so hard to evaluate, and it's also key to evaluate. I remember we used to do that at a big trading camp, where we could go through like, okay, this is the evaluation system, I have to evaluate the position, and queen trade was one of the points we added to it, based on the very known things that are out there about trading. It is crucial to know, does the queen trade favor black? Does it favor white? What happens in case the queens are out of the board? Who's happy?
Easy for fans to get caught up in what like I can calculate variations. By the way, we can't do that. Or let me just look at the answer for the best move, which is like putting the answer in the back of a map book. It does not improve your ability to find the calculation systems, ways to evaluate, like Anna said. Another one I always had too. Who's better in the major exchanges with queens and rooks or minor pieces, and then also always keeping an eye on if all the pieces came off the board and we were in a king of pawn ending, who's winning that? Always having that awareness in the magical times where sometimes your opponent just allows a mass simplification.
Cool how it opens up, because it opens up like this, like a cool book.
But also it affects your decisions earlier, right? It affects which pieces you're trying to trade, and you always have an eye on the king dart. And so when you look at a position like this, you've got a 3-on-2 for black. So white has to be very careful how quickly that majority can get out of control if the queens came off. But also, black has these weaknesses. So if somehow the queens came off and the white king was entering more quickly, what would happen there? So those are the kind of things you have to kind of keep them up here, like posted on your vision board while you're doing the calculation of the current position, right? Anyway, that's a great call out. And by the way, I also want to know what the dimensional thing. I don't know.
It's important to do it, but
I think it makes sense.
Is it something that Fabi wants? Do you think black should go for a queen trade?
Well, that's the the thing. I mean, Fabiano is a very different player from me. He prefers to contention. He's very, very ambitious. He will. But in this position, it's just the first move that came to my mind because I'm doing a quick comparison. White's queen is perfectly placed, centralized on an outpost. Here. Big tactics against these variations. Black's queen looks nice and pretty, but she's not doing that much. She's a bit offside. It's not just that. The pawn structure, and Danny were thinking about the endgames. If you do play the move queen f5, you can jump in. Then queen trade to f4. Back here, and you can take back to the pawn. Not the rook, I should mention, because this would walk into a double attack. So you can take the pawn, and not only have you corrected your pawn structure, now these three intact, but also you've created a path for your king in any potential endgame. The black king will race out of the traps, and queenside majority in endgames. That's another thing you mentioned. It's looking very healthy suddenly. Queen f5's played. I might have to revise my opinion. I'm not sure whether it matches Fabi's queen. That's the question.
Would you revise your usage of the mess? That somebody's going to massage it depending on the process you put on the right syllable. But guess what? It's our word of the day. Go to social media. The rubbing and kneading of muscles and joints of the body with the hands. That is it. I love these words of the day. By the way, we failed to word of the day. Maybe we can make up for it. But we're giving away diamond membership. What was I doing again with this? I was giving away diamond memberships. Yeah, I don't remember what I was doing. But just always looking for some way to give away something to a fan out there. But we had several people email me actually after the word of the day. I don't know how it happened, but they're just making up. But it made its way to me. We gave away some diamond memberships for that. So
That is amazing. I'm always happy to give away diamond memberships. This is great. Use it in sentences on social media.
yeah, appropriate sentences.
Related to Norwiches. Hashtag Norwiches.
Yeah. And then we'll look for some of the best ones. And give away some of the best ones. All right. Well, big questions on the board. Fabiano's the one working his way through these variations. I wonder, David, is there something? So queen f5, we showed it. Maybe the endgame better for black because of the majority on the queen side. Is there something to keeping the queen like so? Otherwise, I'm not going to now of not just the endgame potential of the queens coming off, as you said, but also you pointed out the queen is so dominant on e4. The e6 pawn is weak. It feels like there are many current tactical reasons that maybe getting rid of White's most powerful pieces would be smart, as well as the future. I'm curious if Bobby comes up with another plan here that we're not seeing.
Here she goes.
By far the most tempting move, at least in my eyes. Partly because I like my endgames, but partly because I think here it takes all the risk out. Black. That's what you want to do in these classical games against world-class opposition. Avoid tactics. Big success, equalizing straight from the opening, if not more. Plenty of winning chances ahead. So, Fabi, long think here, 8.5 minutes. Maybe we leave him with it.
I'm really curious what other moves he's considering, or is he just getting deeper into the endgame because queen f5 looks so tempting. Also for the side it fixes the e6 pawn is the weakness, and fixes it if white takes on f5, and if white doesn't take, well, can white not take? No, you don't have a square for the queen, right?
Yep. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm curious what he does, and now we get to be curious about what's going on in the other game. We saw that Ollie Rosenberg played bishop g5, which stops Magnus from playing forward. I don't know that we need to go there, but just pointing out the move that has been made since
Dad, what the?
Position we've left forward versus Blake CJ. And Tia Cromling is doing her best to keep the queen side bind under control.
You just want to close the door on me. What did I do?
You can hope to contain her right now, right? You cannot stop White's bind on the queen side. We broke that one down. But you hope to contain White's pressure. And all right, by the way, running more, we saw a few moves there. Maybe that's actually the way to pressure Ion. What do you got?
Oh no!
I think we should just add that Fabi did play queen. After a 9-minute thing, he did play the
And actually, I want to go to D1 more now because he just played queen to B3, which flipped a little bit of an edge in favor of Hikaru Nakamura. David, you cool with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's drive over there.
I second you on that one. And
would you second me if I returned to professional chess? Would you be my second?
of course, Danny.
You would?
I'll get you that Grandmaster title.
You could teach me some old man chess?
I can. You'll be grinding away all these end
grinding
games.
away like a grandmaster. I'll get the chessable course and
100 moves every.
All right, well, we've got action, actually. We've got a real question mark. Why don't we talk about why we think this is a mistake before we even back up and... Okay, Hikaru is going to teach us why it's a mistake. He immediately plays 985, doesn't need a lot of time, David.
Yeah. Great move from Hikaru. And a bit of a ground there. I'm not the biggest expert on Hikaru faces, but it looked like he's pretty confident. The white queen's actually liking squares. I've already seen a couple of variations where she gets really embarrassed if she drops back, for example, to the 18 square out of the 9 square. Oh my god! And really catches her embarrassed. She's going to have to step back to B1 there. If she retreats off those traded queens, white will never ever be better in those types of positions. If she steps across to E3, she gets hit by a black bishop. Likewise, if she steps across to E3 with a check, she gets hit by a pawn. Ding's queen. Not looking happy right now.
By the way, that was Hikaru number 4, which is a bit of a, like, I hope you know what you're doing. That's what it is. Hope you know what you're doing kind of scowl. So, yeah, unfortunately, Anna, maybe Dingley Ren isn't totally sure what he's doing here.
No, I think if we can we roll back a little bit when he played A3, because it's very natural to step out of that threat was a move that is the main line that we're looking at. A3 also prevents the threat, but you will still need to castle, so it feels a little bit like a waste of time, and at the same time it weakens the light squares on the queen side.
I agree, Anna. It looks really A3 allowed bishop G4. I do wonder. Kind of quick calculation, not my forte. But knight takes E5. The idea to regain the pawn, I guess. Black trades, threatening checkmate on D1. Most importantly, so white doesn't have time to flick